Hello and welcome everyone, my name is Daeldadris and today's topic is patch 1.20 for Modern Warfare. The newest update to the game, that is patch 1.20, was finally released, and with it came a long list of changes like a new weapon, new mastery camo, some Warzone changes, a new map list, and so on, so we'll have plenty of things to discuss, but first let's start at the beginning, updating your game. The patch itself is pretty unusual and beefy, coming in around 32 gigs on PC, not sure about consoles though. Now formerly it was mentioned that the patch will come in two parts, a sort of regular one for everyone, and then once that's downloaded you could hop into the game in either campaign, multiplayer or co-op modes to download another so-called data pack for it if you want the full game, that is. Free-to-play players don't need to do this second update as they can just jump into any of the free modes. This seems to be the case only for console players though, as for PC it seems that the whole 32 gigs was just downloaded in one huge chunk. I hope Infinity Ward can keep the sizes of future updates down a bit, because I had to migrate the game from my SSD to my regular hard drive within a month of me buying it, so I don't think that's a good sign, and I just can't imagine what console players are feeling when they see that another update is available for their game. Now let's talk a little bit about what this new patch brings to the table for us. I'm not going to mention every single detail, only the ones that pique my interest in one way or another. Don't worry though, I'll leave a link to the full patch notes down in the description below, and I'll scroll through them towards the end of the video as well, so you'll have plenty of time to read them if you so desire. Starting my list with the new weapon. A new weapon called Bruen MK9 was added to the game, which is an LMG, so expect characteristics like that from it. You can configure it to be a pretty decent CQB weapon as well with the right attachments, and the ADS time and reload speed isn't hurt as much as like with other weapons in the same category. Currently there are only two ways you can get this weapon. You can either do the challenge for it, which needs you to kill 3 enemy players near a smoke in 15 different matches with an LMG, or you can buy the bundle for it in the shop. If you choose to do the challenge for it, bear in mind that it is different from the smoke challenges you are used to in your officer ranking system, as this requires the enemy to be near a smoke, not you, as you can see the difference in wording right here. Since we have shoot the ship back, I don't think this would be particularly hard for anyone. Just equip a smoke yourself and pop it near a choke point or a flag and possibly a thermal on your weapon, and you'll have it in no time. If you choose to buy it, you can find it in the new encryption package along with an emblem and a calling card for a total of 1200 COD points. Jumping to our next topic, the new camo challenge that everyone was waiting for is finally here. The new look, called Obsidian, is very dividing in both its looks and its requirements to unlock it. Not too many people are satisfied with the full black look of it, especially since you can only preview weapons before this black background, so you can't really tell how it would actually look like in-game until you unlock it and use it. It can be obtained usually by getting a certain amount of kills in matches that varies based on the weapon category, but first you have to have the gold camo unlocked for that given weapon. Getting Damascus first is not required for the new camo though, as this is for individual weapons only. The grind itself is going to be long, especially if you want to collect it for every weapon, but since this is a mastery camo I don't see any problems with it like the rest of the community. Mastery camos aren't supposed to be easy to get by definition, or otherwise everyone would have it. The numbers you need to achieve are the following. For ARs, you need to get 15 kills in a match 200 times. For SMGs, LMGs and shotguns, this is 15 kills 150 times. For snipers and marksman rifles, it is 15 kills 125 times. For pistols, it is 15 kills 100 times. For the riot shield, it is 750 kills in total, so that's nice that they've thought about that, so you don't need to have them in chunks of 10 or 15. For knives, it is 10 kills 125 times. For the RPG alone, it is 5 kills 150 times. And for the rest of the launchers in the game, it just requires you to destroy vehicles or kill streaks for a total of 100 times, so you'll get them naturally if you slap on a launcher on your loadouts. I think getting the camo for your favorite weapon is what the developers had in mind as to show your expertise of the given weapon, but getting it for all of them would take you longer, so don't expect to get them in 2 weeks time. There's also something worth mentioning here. The wording does not specify that the kill counts need to be in different matches like for the Bruen here, and currently it works as such. So for ARs you can get multiple stacks of 15 kills towards your challenge even in one match. If you drop an insane game with 60 kills with an M4, that's 4 ticks or 4 stacks towards the 200 right there, so keep that in mind. If you were to get only 29 kills, well, you do the math for that. Next up is Gunsmith Customs. This basically lets you mix and match attachments from different blueprints on your guns to get crazy with their looks. On one hand, I think it's a great feature to have, at least for not losing the overall look of your weapon when you switch one attachment on it like it happened previously. On the other hand, I couldn't care less what this is personally. I'm not a guy with a million blueprints to choose parts from, and even if I was, I wouldn't necessarily take the time to find that perfect combination of them that don't make my new weapon look like patchwork from WoW. I'd rather have my weapons perform the way I'd like them, and then maybe I'll slap a camo on it for good measures. However, if you like Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, you'll have a great time with this feature. In my previous video, I mentioned how it was almost impossible to get into Shipment or Shoothouse using the small maps playlist that was available at the time. Well, I think our prayers were heard, and Shoot the Ship makes a return to multiplayer with these exact 2 maps. Use this opportunity to grind your camos or just make other people rage. A minor feature, but it is worth mentioning, is a store revamp. Now whenever you hover over an item in the shop, previews of the items contained in them will be shown without you having to click on the package first. Speaking of the shop, 2 new packages have arrived, the Pyromaniac and Encryption bundles. If you like flames, the color red, and Dragon Breath rounds in shotguns, then the Pyromaniac pack is yours to have for only 1800 COD points. I've already talked about the Encryption bundle. This is basically a shortcut to your Bruen MK9 LMG. If you don't want to do the challenge to unlock it, you can throw 1200 COD points at Activision and you'll have your new LMG in no time. A couple of Warzone specific changes were also added to the game, and almost all of them are a welcomed addition. A new bounty type called Most Wanted was added to the game, where you can mark yourself and your team on the map for all other players for 5 minutes. If you survive, you'll get free redeploys for all of your fallen teammates. This is only good in late game when you have dead teammates and you don't have the money for redeploys or you want to spend your money on something else. If you complete the challenge while everyone is alive on your team, you'll get a minor cash boost for all of you and nothing else. This redeploy is also not a get out of Gulag for free card. If you complete it while one of your teammates is dead, but they still have their Gulag fights ahead of them, they have to fight that anyway, and once they win and redeploy, a message will let them know that there are no more free redeploys available for them, just like before. The money you get is also way too little for 5 minutes of doing nothing else. Money-wise, you'll be better off just doing 2 scavenger contracts instead in the meantime. The bounty, for the above mentioned reasons, is not available in solos, but in the squad game modes, these completely replace the regular bounties on the map, so you won't have the choice to pick whichever you would like. You only have access to these ones. To be honest, I'd rather have both of them in the game at the same time to give you some option to choose from. A new item makes also an appearance in the game called the Armor Satchel, which lets you take 8 armor plates instead of the regular 5 with you. This is a really good boost for the squad modes where armor is really scarce, especially in the endgame when most people have already gone through their stacks and there are no buy stations nearby. Carrying more plates into battle is always a good thing, and you can get these satchels as a guaranteed drop from scavenger missions. Previously, you could get gas masks from scavenger missions, but now the reward for doing them is the new Armor Satchel, and you can still buy the gas mask at a buy station or you can find them naturally throughout the game. Speaking of the mask, the size and speed of the zones were also adjusted. I haven't noticed anything regarding the size, but the overall closing speed of the circles is much slower. I think in some cases it almost feels like it has been doubled. I haven't done the math yet, but it feels like that. Personally, I don't think this was necessary, to be honest. A reason why I like Warzone more compared to other BRs is that the zone is much faster and deadlier, making camping outside the zone less of a tactic than in other games. The truck also makes an appearance once again in solos, but the stats have been tweaked a bit. It accelerates slower, has a slower top speed, and has a slower turn or a bigger turn radius, however you wanna call it. The patch notes specifically say that this is for solos, but I don't think they've changed this only for solos. I think these are changes across the board, so for squad modes as well. Available queues in the game at the moment are solos, trios, quads, and for plunder it's trios only. The last 2 changes seem minor, but I think these are huge quality of life changes that everyone just seems to be skipping over. You can now finally drop your guns. This is handy when your teammate has nothing or was just redeployed recently, and you can toss him your fully kitted out secondary to be more useful in future teamfights, or if you want to set up traps for unsuspecting players by dropping your M4 around the corner and waiting for them to rush it for a couple of easy kills. Also, the scoreboard was added to the pause menu, so there's no more clicking around to find it. It is here for you to constantly see it. The rest of the patch notes contain minor bug fixes and stability fixes that you can see scrolling in the background, but I leave a link to them in the description below as well. These fixes include things like not being able to armor up in Warzone while you were using Dead Silence, or fixing the details on the after action report so now you can see your team's overall performance. This is all that I wanted to discuss regarding patch 1.20, but I'm interested in your opinion as well. What would you change for the next update and why? Let me know in the comments below, as well as your opinions about the current changes. Don't forget to like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you disliked it, subscribe to the channel and click on the notification bell if you want to receive more content like this in the future, and I see you guys in the next one.